Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our publishing and coaching services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Andrew Schiro, author of my book of wins. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Are you ready to get started?
I am.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
I would say make sure you stick to your guns on what your message is and your personal style. I asked a lot of opinions of a lot of people that I trust for feedback when I started putting the book together, and I incorporated a lot of their advice in my own way, but I would say be careful not to dilute your overall tone to try to please everyone, or you're going to end up losing the impact of the book.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, kind of like anything for the first time out, it's a lot of research, trial and error. I mean, I had some contacts in the media world who advised me that given that I had no history as an author, the large publishing houses out there were most likely not going to give me the time of day. And I realized that self-publishing was going to be my most effective avenue. So I researched the different self-publishers out there and decided to go with CreateSpace. And the hardest part of that entire process was that you really are on your own. And I had to do all the legwork, editing, cover design, honestly, but there's still a learning curve to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a process with this stuff, and especially if you're doing it yourself. I mean, there's so many different little things so many little tedious aspects that go with that publishing process. Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you've used in your book launch that worked well.
Well, I started off with social media, probably like a lot of people do, with LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, and I decided to kind of expand into the public speaking circuit. And I worked to try to plug into organizations looking for speakers who could fill spots in their various breakout sessions during training events. And I talk on the subject of the book and how it can help their employees to be more effective and productive in their lives. And that has become increasingly more marketable and more effective as time goes on. And it puts me face-to-face with a lot of new people. So that seems to be working pretty well so far.
Well, and I bet having that book made a big difference, too, in regards to actually getting some of those gigs.
It did. It did. Very much so.
That's one thing I'm noticing these days. So just about any of these type of events, one of the first questions you get is, well, have you published a book about that area of expertise that you have?
Correct.
So what strategies do you suggest to get some of these speaking gigs? What was your process? How did you reach out to people?
My background is in investment advice and financial planning, and I grew up in the world of cold calling. So I cold called. I would just basically get a list of companies that are in my area, and I worked out at a larger and larger radius from mid-sized companies to the larger ones and try to get through to HR. And I went into your normal networking events where different places and different organizations are looking for free speakers, where you're just willing to show up and speak and fill time basically for them in whatever organization it may be, different foundations and charities and things like that. And you'd be surprised how many people say, yeah, come talk. Because public speaking, a lot of people don't like doing that. And the ones that do, some people are very good and some are not. And it's nice to have different varieties come in. And so I put my name in the hat, so to speak, and they're looking for someone that kind of fits my MO, I get called on. And it's, like I said, it has worked out well, or it seems to be working out well so far.
Well, and the funny thing with that, too, is, one of the questions I get is, well, should I speak for free? I'm like, well, is it giving you exposure? It's like you give away your book for free as part of your launch strategy, so wouldn't you speak for free as well? And they're like, oh, yeah. I said, well, let me tell you how you can monetize that. So if you speak at a conference, if someone say, hey, you mind speaking for free, do it. Because if you're given that seminar on your area of expertise, at the end of it, you can go, by the way, I do have some autographed paperback copies of my book here. I would love to work with some of you guys. So if you guys bring in speakers for your companies, come see me afterwards. And as a thank you, I'd like to give you an autographed paperback copy of my book. I just want you to fill out a really quick consent form just to get more information. So it's kind of like using the cold calling principle, but you're actually getting much warmer leads because, one, you've made a connection with them. They're happy to see you. They've filled out a little intent form, and they've gotten a paperback autographed copy of your book, and then maybe take a little selfie with them or a picture, have them post it in social media. Not you post it, but have them post it. And then that's probably going to go out to members of their company as well. So I think there's many great strategies that you can use that if you are going to speak for free, you can still leverage that for lead generation and potentially get some great gigs.
Exactly. And that's what my experience has been. And, it's like anything. You have to tweak your methodology as you go along, and hopefully you get better the more you do it. But it does work, and it's been very effective, and I'm pleased with the results so far.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
My favorite book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I've read that book probably 50 times over the past 15 years. And the main reason I keep going back to it is because it reminds me of how to get anything you want out of life. And it's just been very, very instrumental for me. And it was one of the inspirations for me to write the book I wrote.
Yeah, one of my favorite books is PMA by Napoleon Hill, well, Positive Mental Attitude by Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone. So that was
I've read that one as well.
Oh, yeah. And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
You are what you think you are. It's been proven in so many ways over the years that you can think yourself into reality, any reality, good or bad. And out of everybody that I've spoke with or encountered, that one quote seems to define why they're living the life they live. And it just explains to me everything. And it's all-encompassing.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of connects again to W. Clement Stone's quote, which is one of my favorites, and that is, what the mind of man can conceive and believe, it will achieve. I think it connects with that very well.
Yep, it does. It connects very well with that.
Well, Andrew, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
For my book in particular, you could go to www.mybookofwins.com, and I have a website dedicated to the book. LinkedIn and on Facebook under Andrew Schiro, Schiro, the third. And you can just Google me and I pop up there as well.
Andrew, I'm going to ask you a favor. If you wouldn't mind mentioning that again, we had a little bit of an audio connection there. So could you mention one more time where our listeners can find you, please?
You can go to, for the book in particular, the website is www.mybookofwins.com. And for me and more information about myself, you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook under Andrew Schiro, Schiro, the third.
Well, Andrew, thank you again once again for being a guest on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thanks a lot, Paul. I appreciate it.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.